It's nice to be able to angle your shorelines rather than have just a straight shore whenever you can. This happens to be this HDR technique because I'll show you more. But anyway, I wanted to show the fireweed as well as the sunset. And this is about 20 minutes after the sun is set. So in normal circumstances, everything here is black because the sun is on the other side of my subject. And so if you take one shot, unless you flash it, it's going to be black. That's why this HDR technique works. Same thing, actually this is the same spot as that previous picture, a different year, because I like that spot a lot. I had a bike in the other one, so this time I didn't have them riding, I had them standing around, enjoying the sunset. And of course the sun went down, and they left. Here's the sound. I got leading lines of the water going in. I've got the pier coming out to my house, and not that great a sunset, not much color, therefore I minimized it. So that's on the top of my rule of thirds, rather than the other way around. I see so many people at sunset, they're standing there thinking, these big, oh man, this is beautiful, this is great. And I'm thinking, what are you showing? You gotta have a subject. You can't just take the sunset. There's nothing there. You gotta have a subject and eye to focus on something. And I don't care if it's simple, half-dead Madrona tree, and this is out in Chambers Bay, at least it gives some extra to look at in your image. That of all the sunsets I've ever seen, that was probably the most dramatic I've ever seen. It was like fire in the sky. Absolutely amazing. Subject. The sunset's kind of mediocre, lousy. This is up in Lahaina, and not much going on. The sunset was kind of a disappointment to me. But the guy is fishing, so I've got a subject that makes for an interesting picture. So I've got leading lines coming up to him, I've got some sunset, I've got a little bit going on there. Seems to work. Now, and this is way too light. I got a lousy sunset. And so I turned my camera around and I went for the lifeguard house. Because once again, I've got something to look at. I've got my palm trees, a little bit of sky, but it wasn't worth getting a sunset picture. So I got the subject near it. So often when I'm having my sunset pictures, I will try to have something else there in case I don't get what I want with the sunset. Okay, sometimes you gotta have a flash. If I had taken this image without popping a flash, everything would be black. Because the light's coming from the other side. And that means the side I'm looking at is going to be in shadow. So I popped the flash, and this is, I think, just a simple camera. I don't think I had a side camera. This is just on my camera, and I popped the flash, and it gives me a little extra subject on it. I had nice color, and I get my subject with the boats and the people. Okay, so here we are. You've got a choice. Wife and I are up on the pier, the sun's getting ready to set. If you take the normal shot, you're focusing on the sunset. And I don't know who that is, because it's shadow. That's what we're talking about. The sun is on the other side, so it's black. So, okay, so let's set my camera for her. Okay, so now she's in pretty good focus, but this is totally blown out. Terrible. So, what do you do? Okay, what you can do is pop a flash, and would have pretty much done the same thing, just like the picture before. Or, in this case, I did what's called HDR. HDR is high dynamic range. And what it means is, I'm going to take 3 pictures. So, I took one for the horizon, I took one regular one, and I took one of my wife. So now basically you have 2 stops, lighter, and 2 stops, darker. And you can set your camera up to do this automatically. So it'll take 3 things. Press the button one time, click, click, click. 3 shots. Well, okay, so now what? Well, you go when you put your computer, and you've got software in your post-processing that will it's magic. I press the button, and the computer puts all 3 together, and voila! It looks normal. I got the right kind of sky, I got the right kind of subject, and I get the credit for it. But it was the magic of the HDR that did it. So for the novices that are not into post-processing, you can't get this picture. You can, unless you pop a flash. Once again, if you're popping a flash, the flash only goes out like 10, 12 feet. So in this case, it would work. If your subject is farther down, you're wasting your flash. It won't do anything. Every time I watch a football game, let's say halftime, and you've got some celebrity down there on the stage, and they're doing all their gyrations and their music, and it's great. And you look at the stands, and there's 10,000 flash bulbs going off. All these people taking pictures. You're wasting your charge of your camera. Your camera flash does nothing after about 10 feet. And so this person's 100 yards away, and you think it's going to flash? Wasting it. So turn off your flash, unless they're within 10 feet, 12 feet. Okay, if you're floating down the Rhone in France, you want to get some blue hour shots, sunset's over, and it's one of my favorite times of the day to take pictures because the lights this is in the city mainly, because the lights in the city are coming on, and you've got the nice blue tone to complement the yellow of the lights. Usually the winds calm down, so it's going to be flatter, calmer water. The problem is, I'm moving. That boat is moving. In fact, it's moving pretty darn quickly. So you've got to up your ISO. So if in daytime you might be taking ISO with a speed of, let's say, 200, maybe 300, maybe 400, you're going to want to consider having an ISO of 1,000 or higher. And the one negative with having a higher ISO is generally, except for the really good new expensive cameras, you get more what's called noise, which it'll have a grainy look to it. Well, I'd rather have a grainy look than not get the picture. Because I guarantee you, if you leave your ISO down at 200, this will be a blur. And you can't do anything about it. If you have a grainy picture, then when you learn your post-processing, if you don't already know, you can get rid of grain. Once again. Now, this time, I don't even remember the name of the town. In France, we're floating the river. We stopped for the night, so now I'm on shore, I've got my tripod. You can have any setting you want. And because I don't care how long it takes, those buildings aren't moving. And in fact, if it takes a little longer, that makes the water a little calmer. And by the way, I didn't do that post-processing. Those buildings were that color. I have no idea why they're purple, but I love the effect. Okay, floating down the Seine. Same problem. It's that blue hour, the time I love. The lights are coming on. The sky is still blue. It's a great time to be there. My ISO, 3,200. I've got a fast, because this boat's moving pretty good. And the nice thing about digital, you can look at the back of the camera. And if it looks fuzzy, it's not going to get better when you put it on your computer. It's going to be fuzzy. You're going to delete it. You're not going to want it. So you've got to increase the speed of your camera. And if you have I like to adjust my camera. I want to be in charge. I want to have the camera do what I want it to do. If you only have a pocket camera, this is one of those situations where actually putting it on program will probably be your best bet because it will automatically do this because there's so little light here that it'll make it a faster image. Same thing. Stelco, my favorite spot again. Now, the other thing is, if I'm doing this technique called HDR, and I have 3 pictures, underexposed, normal, and overexposed, well, if my subject moved, that means it'll be blurry. When the computer puts them all 3 together, they're blurry and they won't work. Okay, but this is HDR, so how do they do it? I cranked up the ISO. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was at least 1,000, if not more. And the reason is, so now when I press it, because it's a faster speed, it's tick, tick, tick. And that way, the computer can still, it's close enough, even though it's moved slightly, the computer can put it into 1. So this is an HDR image that you're not supposed to be able to do, but I do a lot of. Back in the same thing, 3,200 ISO, blue hour, love the leading lines. This is a little church in Maui. One of the fun things to do in places like Maui is go visit all the great big hotels. I would never stay there. I can't afford $2,500 a night. But they got some great grounds, little streams. Landscape is fantastic. And at night, They got a lot of stuff that's lit up. It makes it pretty cool. Victoria, same thing. It's sunset. It's a blue hour. Nice pictures there. This is the same spot I had before, but now it's full dark. The blue hour's gone and it's dark. And if you'll let your exposure go like for 30 seconds, you get a lot of the stars coming out. So it, once again, adds to your image. If you go more than, and I don't want to go into formulas, but if you go more than 25 or 30 seconds, they'll start streaking because the stars are moving, of course. Just like the moon is moving on the horizon, the stars are moving. So if you go more than 25 or 30 seconds, you're going to have streaks, or oblong. So you don't want to go past that. Walk into hotel grounds. Get some beautiful images, kind of an abstract type thing, leading lines into the neat little gazebos there. Okay, I'm in Monte Carlo, looking for James Bond. Couldn't find him. I don't gamble. I refuse to throw my money away. I had a buddy who did win a couple $100 there, and it was nice. You know, anybody here been to Monte Carlo and the casino? You know, the thing that is so cool is all the fantastic cars out front. If you ever want to see a fantastic car, go over there. They're all lined up, and I don't know how they can afford them after going in there and losing their money, but it's amazing. And what I did here was I waited for the full moon to get up, and of course I'm using a wide-angle lens, and so it's pretty small, but still trying to put something in the sky. I got the fountain off center, make it a little more interesting there. This is showing up a lot of noise. My computer, when it's smaller, you don't see the noise. But this is what I'm talking about. This is noise. See all those spots up there? So the higher the ISO, the more of that noise you're going to get. Once again, we're finishing our trip on the Seine, and you got to have a picture of the Eiffel Tower, and of course you're waiting for the light to come just right when you zap it. Little church again. If you have an f-stop that's a big number, like a 22, you get the star effect at night. So if you want to add a little pizzazz to your image, even if you don't need to have a 22, because remember, the 22 f-stop will make everything in focus. But if you want it because you also want a little star effect, this adds to the image sometime. Okay, no flash on this. If you flash somebody with fire, it will not show the fire. So this is natural lighting. The only lighting is coming from his fire. And so faster ISO to get it. My backyard. Darn raccoons had a litter under my deck, which I like dogs crazy for a couple weeks. The day they left, my wife hears them crawling out. I think they're coming out. I think they're like, oh, man, I run down, grab the camera, and I'm ready. And they come sneaking out, and they're climbing over the fence. And actually, he's over the fence, but doesn't want to drop the 6 feet to the other side. He's hanging there, and I'm snapping away. And I love that shot. In fact, I won a lot of People's Choice Awards for that. The other thing that I like about this image, and you may not think about it at first, but he's eye level. If you can get your children and your animals eye level, you'll have a much better image. I'm surprised this is in focus because I ran my bag for this picture. So I'm in, I don't know what country I'm in, probably, I don't know, Italy maybe, whatever. Maybe, I don't know. I'm in a group of like 20 doing a little walking tour, and I'm trying to stay ahead, but you're taking pictures and, okay, so they leave now and get some, oh good, and then I have to look ahead. Oh my God, there's a little kid, perfect. So I'm hauling to get ahead of the group, and I couldn't get down and get a picture of her. And then I've got 20 Americans all throwing money. And this little kid, I'm sure by the time she's 12, will be a millionaire. I mean, she's got more, I don't even know if she knows what a greenback, well, I'm sure she does actually. She got more than that money to fill that cup. So I'm driving by that other place in Maui where the surfers were, the cross and stuff. I'm taking this from my window. And it's I just love the picture. I just thought, my camera's already ready. If I'm with my camera, which is 99% of the time, it's ready to go. Because I got cars behind me. And so it's ready. It's either on my lap or my chair next to me, my wife not there. And I can roll the windows up, snap my picture, and I got it. Once again, it goes with the rule of thirds on the horizon part, but it's centered, but he is kind of, the head is kind of this side.